What everyone is talking about here in New York City is this, not even in New York, all over the country,
Yes.
the mayoral race.
Yes.
Now, first of all, the turnout, Morgan.
Huge.
What about this?
So record turnout that we're seeing for the early day, those 9 days of early voting shattered the records for 2021. More than 735,000 people cast their ballots early. And the voter makeup of this early voter turnout, we're seeing voters 55 and older, they're making up 44% of the turnout. And then voters 25 to 34, they're making up 20% of the early voter turnout. And we're looking at all 9 days, and a lot of younger voters came out, especially yesterday. It was one of the highest voter turnouts that we've seen out of all the 9 days. And so people are really encouraged. You speak to experts, and experts, though, are split on what this means. Some people say that this is going to mean that we're going to see just as many people turn out on Election Day. Others say that this means that maybe fewer people are going to turn out on Election Day, but a lot of people really hoping for 2 million New Yorkers to come out to vote. That would be a really exciting thing to see. I think that many people really coming out, making their voices heard. As you mentioned, this race has gotten national attention. It's gotten New Yorkers really excited, and I think a lot of people feel very passionately about whoever they are voting for this year.
No, absolutely. But what about the demographics? Because there was a lot of talk about Mamdani having a very young group of supporters, but he had this incredible outreach campaign and canvassing and ground teams, many teams going out everywhere, and that the older voters that would benefit Cuomo. What's the thinking on that now?
So a lot of people looked at what happened in the primary, and they saw that Mamdani was able to get out a record number of young voters that wasn't really seen before in any sort of election cycle. He was able to energize young voters. That's something that Democrats especially, but Republicans as well, have really been trying to reach, this younger voter turnout, and they've really been trying to reach younger voters and get them out to vote, because historically younger voters don't really turn out to vote. But this year in the Democratic primary, we saw a ton of younger voters turning out for Mamdani, and this year we're seeing it as well. However, when it comes to older voters, most polls show that Cuomo is doing either a little bit better than Mamdani, or they're breaking about even when it comes to older voters. So people saw that this older voter turnout, some experts say that this looks really good for Cuomo, and Cuomo's campaign is really hoping that this as well looks good for them. They're hoping that these older voters go and vote for him. We're seeing some people who haven't really voted in the past also voting in this election. It's hard to say, though. A lot of the experts I've been speaking to say it's not quite as black and white as saying all the older voters are going to go vote for Cuomo and all the younger voters are just voting for Mamdani. It's likely to be pretty split, and it's hard to say right now because we also have Curtis Sliwa really capturing Republicans right now. I think a lot of Republicans aren't quite swayed by some of Cuomo's arguments, saying that that Sliwa shouldn't be considered in this race. I think some Republicans still hold a lot of bitterness to Cuomo for things like some of the allegations around the COVID-related nursing home deaths, and the sexual harassment allegations. So a lot of Republicans, and bail reform and Tier 6, for example, when it comes to pensions. So I think some Republicans will never quite go and vote for Cuomo. However, I do think that it's going to be hard to say just because of such a high voter turnout. Many experts say that the polls can't really accurately depict what will happen just because of this high voter turnout.
Right, and then you look at it for Cuomo. He's hoping that these older voters are going to come for him. Are there enough of them to offset a surge for Mamdani if there's a surge in person voting tomorrow?
It's unclear right now. They can't view any of the votes until Election Day. So they're right now at all the 9 days of early voting. I wish they could kind of count and see where we were standing right now, but no. They can't open them until Election Day. So it's just hard to see right now. What we're seeing, as well as some of the wealthier neighborhoods, they've come out to vote. We're still waiting to see the working class neighborhoods. They haven't come out to vote yet. They typically come out to vote usually during election time. I know I like to vote on Election Day. And so I think, we're still kind of waiting to see who turns out and where. and a lot of New Yorkers who are unaffiliated. So people who are maybe not a registered Democrat or a registered Republican, they also haven't really turned out to vote quite as much. So we're waiting for those independents as well to see where they vote, and who knows where they will vote in this election.
Right, and then it'll be amazing if there's an in-person turnout that's record-setting tomorrow too, because this was record-setting for early voting.
Yep. And
turnout,
so
right?
I know. So a lot of people are really hoping 2 million. I'm hoping for 2 million because I always think it's nice when you have a high voter turnout when a lot of people come out to vote, because then it's easier to say that, you know, everyone made their voices heard and here are the results.
Right, as opposed to if it's a nail biter and it's very close, and then there can be all the questions about the ballots and about the voting process and who was given access, who wasn't, and all of those types of questions.
Hopefully we learn where the vote stands. Hopefully they call the race by 10 p.m. tomorrow night. That would be great. Polls close at 9 p.m. tomorrow. If they could call the race by 10 p.m. tomorrow, I would be a very happy woman.
I think we all. But what about any word on how long it's going to take them to count those early votes?
So the nice part is that due to a law passed in the New York State Legislature quite a few years ago, they can start counting ballots, I believe absentee ballots, but they have to wait until Election Day to really announce who has won. But this way, they can kind of get started a little bit sooner, so they don't have to open all of them right on Election Day.
So you're really hoping for a 10
So
p.m.
I'm really hoping for Election Day, 10 p.m.
I think we all are.
Yeah, but we'll see how many people turn out to vote tomorrow. So hopefully it's a huge turnout tomorrow.
Definitely. Can you stay with us a couple more minutes and then we'll come back. We're going to take a short break. This is Newsroom Live from the Fox 5 New York Newsroom. I'm Lisa Evers. I'm joined by my colleague Morgan McKay, political reporter and anchor of Politics Unusual. A great show, all about politics, unusual, and a wonderful guest that's here on Friday nights on Fox 5 and Fox Local, and we'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Newsroom Live. I'm Lisa Evers, Fox 5 News reporter and anchor. This is Newsroom Live from our Fox 5 New York newsroom. I'm joined by my colleague Morgan McKay. She's our political reporter and also anchor of the show Politics Unusual that you can see on Fox 5 here on Friday evenings and also on the Fox Local app. You can catch up on all the episodes. Morgan, the kind of the hits and the misses of the candidates and the closing arguments. Can you break that down for us? Like, what do you think the main points are that were really resonating?
Exactly. So today what we had is Zohran Mamdani. He was maybe up the earliest this morning. He was marching at 7 a.m. Across Brooklyn Bridge and over to City Hall. And he was standing with elected officials like State Attorney General Letitia James and some others. And they had a big sign that said, "Our time is now." And that's really been his message to voters, supporters, especially in these final days, that this is a time for especially younger voters, maybe voters who feel a little disenfranchised, maybe voters who are frustrated with the system. He says that he's a mayor for these types of voters, and he says that this is the time for when their voice can really be heard. So that's the message that he's been trying to lay out. He's also been really, this week we've seen, reaching out to older New Yorkers as well. Partly because of what we were talking about earlier, that some of these older voters we're seeing this high voter turnout, that Cuomo could potentially be doing a little bit better among older voters than Mamdani. So Mamdani really has been speaking to older New Yorkers, saying that affordability isn't just a young person message, it's an everyone's issue. Yeah, right. Exactly. It's an issue for everybody. Speaking about how long it takes for some seniors to get into senior housing. And so he says today that he also is going to be fighting back against President Donald Trump, using particularly lawsuits. That's something else that some people have been a little bit concerned about with electing Mamdani. Some voters have said that they're a little worried that President Trump is going to come in, as he said he would.
Well, he's already said again. He said again this week.
Exactly.
Right.
And so a lot of New Yorkers, or excuse me, I should say some of the New Yorkers who are maybe more on the fence about him, that's something that they've brought up, a concern is about how he might respond to President Trump's attacks if he's elected. So today he's really been making clear that if he were to be elected, he would be somebody who would be able to fight back. Also just showing to his energy, saying that he's somebody who has the energy, the will to fight back as well. Then we got Andrew Cuomo. He was out all weekend, and this morning he's been trying to hit all 5 boroughs this morning. He started out in the Bronx. Now, his message has really been that he is the experienced mayor. He's somebody who, you might not see a ton of change, but he's going to be somebody who's going to keep things on the right path. And he also has made it clear that if President Trump comes in, he's the one who has a history, has a record to stand up against Trump. Now, that record's a double-edged sword a little bit, so he definitely has been hit on that. And Trump's comments just yesterday saying that if he were a
bad Democrat is better than a socialist.
Exactly. Right. Kind of saying that he would be voting for Cuomo.
Right.
And Cuomo was saying, trying to dismiss that, trying to wave that away, saying, no, he's a good Democrat, so we couldn't be talking about him. So he said that, again, trying to really make this distinction between him and Mamdani, that he's a Democrat and Mamdani's a socialist. Sometimes he calls him a communist, but he is a socialist. So he's been trying to just really hit on this message that he's not Mamdani and people can trust him to at least keep things relatively the same in New York City. And then you've got Curtis Sliwa. He has been somebody who has been hitting the subways every single day, really reaching voters on the subway, talking about his message of public safety. And he's somebody that I think may do a little bit better than polls show. I think some Republicans are really going to turn out, especially on Staten Island, for Curtis Sliwa. But it's hard to say because we're also seeing some top Republicans say, don't vote for Curtis Sliwa, vote for
vote
Cuomo.
for Mamdani, right.
Yeah, exactly. And they're saying, that voting for Sliwa is a vote for Mamdani, so people should go ahead and vote for Cuomo. We saw Councilman Joe Borelli. He's a former council minority leader. He said he's voting for Cuomo, and they had a lot of beef going back. You had Councilwoman Ina Virenkov. She says she's voting for Cuomo, even did an ad for him, campaign for him. And she says that she's voting for Cuomo because she's just worried about Sliwa's chances and when she wants to stop Mamdani. So you are seeing this this effort by some Republicans to have some Republicans switch their votes. But it's a hard thing because you've had the GOP for the last 10 years while Cuomo was governor, blaming everything and anything wrong in the city on Cuomo. So it's a hard thing to now shift that focus. But it's gonna all come down. But Sliwa, again, today really making the message clear that he is somebody who's truly cared about New York City for decades now, and that he is somebody who can be trusted to lead the city because he is truly someone who knows New York City.
So Morgan, let me ask you this, because you follow this very closely, like 24/7. Is it really at this point, because there was a lot of talk early on and we did a lot of reports on it about the issues, the affordability issue, the public safety issue always coming up to be the top two. But at the end of the day, does it come down to personalities?
I think it always comes down to personalities a little bit. I think politicians are, especially even now more so in the digital age, I think it's all about how you speak and how well you speak and the I guess magnetic energy that you have among people, and you can definitely see that with all of these three candidates. I think all three are definitely characters in their own right. I think you saw that on SNL this weekend.
Right.
All three are just such interesting characters and people. But you definitely have to see. I think at some point it is who they are as a person, but it's definitely their message as well. And I think right now affordability is such a huge issue in New York City, and from a lot of voters I've been speaking to, a lot of experts, I think affordability is definitely front of mind this election cycle. I think in the past we've often seen public safety be something that's really important for voters. I think right now New York City is in a good place, thanks in part to Mayor Eric Adams when it comes to public safety. And so I think that right now voters are more concerned with
about how they're going to pay their bills, especially with all the uncertainty that's coming along. And then you look at all three of them, and you look at these candidates, and then in terms of the actual campaigning that they've done, the aggressiveness, because Cuomo was criticized for a while for just not being out there and kind of late to the party for getting out in the community.
Yep. So we saw Mamdani. So Mamdani launched his campaign at the end of last year, and he has been hitting the pavement, going door to door, knocking on doors really for a year now. And that's really what we saw from his primary campaign, is that he was somebody out there all the time. And now it's so different, of course, but I was talking with some other reporters about how back in the primary, there were times I would run up to his news conference and not have the time to stay for his news conference and just grab him quickly beforehand.
Right.
Now, there's no shot at doing that. Now, he walks down the street no matter where he goes, and he's completely mobbed by people just
Right.
wanting to picture with him, shake his hand, whatever. And then, we've seen with Cuomo, it was his downfall during the primary. He did almost no campaigning. And then even when he announced that he was running for re-election, he was out campaigning a little bit, but he really didn't pick up his pace for campaigning until the past few weeks. And
that's what it seemed like to me. That's why I wanted to see if that was accurate.
Yes, and so he really, I feel like the past few weeks decided that maybe he really does want this, and he's out there. Especially today, over the weekend, he's been out really trying to campaign, really talking to voters. Some experts have said he should have been doing this a month, 2 months ago,
Right.
and he might have maybe a better shot than what the polls say now. But at the same time, a lot of voters are just now paying attention. So he definitely, still has his message front and center to voters who are just paying attention and just kind of getting around to maybe saying, wait, there's an election tomorrow. Where do we stand?
And the other thing too, then we know you got to get ready for the coming shows and the reports. Just a final question. It's like there was never, a lot of people kept saying, okay, well, the debate's going to be a defining moment. This ranking of the three of them, this 1, 2, and 3 with Mamdani always ahead, Cuomo second, Sliwa trailing behind, but kind of, and Sliwa and Cuomo kind of going up a little bit, down a little bit, but Mamdani always far in the lead. There was never any, do you think there was ever any defining moment where the whole thing could have shifted in one way or another?
I think that, Mamdani has shown that he's in the lead in almost every single poll.
Right.
How much of a lead differs pretty wildly, actually, from some of the polls. He has a 16, 25-point lead. Others have him at more of a 10-point lead. But he's usually leading by double digits in most of the polls. But again, it's hard to say when you have such a high voter turnout. It really sort of shatters all of the polls' expectations, all of their models, when you have voters who maybe never voted before, said they weren't going to vote this
Right.
year, coming out to vote. So it's really
It's anybody's guess at this
it's
point.
anybody's guess, I feel like, at this point. That's where experts are a lot right now.
And that's what will make it must see and must watch. But Morgan, we know you have to get going, but thank you so much for being with us for this. Morgan
you.
McKay, our Fox 5 political correspondent, political reporter, and anchor of Politics Unusual. And we're going to have a lot of coverage here on Fox 5 and on the Fox Local app with real-time trackers to help give you information. A lot of coverage happening here as well.
Yeah.
We've got Battleground NYC at 7 o'clock live tomorrow. You're going to be live like nonstop throughout everything on every platform going all over from set to set.
We'll have reporters at every campaign headquarters.
Headquarters. So keep it locked here. Make sure you have the app on your phone if you're watching on your TV. So wherever you are, you can check it out. But thank you so much. Really appreciate all the insight and getting us ready for tomorrow.
I'm ready.
We really appreciate it.